Aunty Kela, mahalo for being here today. And when we talk about on the Cool Project, it's really about just what it means to stand tall, feel grounded, and be more anchored. And we're here at the Marriott Courtyard North Shore. And this is like one of the places, especially in Laie, where whenever I come visit, because I'm from like Kailua side, but when I come visit here, you feel like that feeling, right? You feel a little bit more grounded, you feel more present. So I just want to say mahalo for being here today and sharing your time and energy.
It has been my pleasure. I only wish that people would do more of this kind of, talk story, kuka, just relaxing atmosphere,
Yeah.
And thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
I said, when they ask me, I go, me?
But then after we talk stars, it's more just like us catching up, seeing where we cross paths, because that's kind of how Hawaii is, right? Like there's always some kind of connection going on.
Right.
So but before I start, like, can you just give me like, how did you get from here? Because you're originally from Laie side, right? So what was it like growing up in Laie?
Well, one of the things that I can remember as a little girl is you always had your parents, your grandparents. But we were fortunate to have our great grandparents that were still alive, and even with that, watching them and how they loved their mo'opunas, and yet, it was hard times too. I mean, nobody ran to the supermarket like they do now. There was no supermarket. There was no, so they grew their own food, and they made sure that there was enough food for feed their families.
Yeah.
And that's what I miss the most about those years of, and then listening to the stories, listening. We always had family time. In the evenings was everybody sat down, everybody sang songs, listened to the kupunas and their stories, and their stories are real. It really happened, and they talk about the place. And one of the things I remember them talking about is Laie wasn't where it was now. It was more up towards the mountainside and called Koloa. The first mountain is Koloa, and then the one up is what they call Ko'olauloa, which of course we know runs from Kualoa all the way to Waimea.
Yeah.
And so they would constantly talk about things like that. And they talked about, now, everybody said, how come you guys say Laie and some say Laie?
Yeah.
And I said, because when they talked about, remember now, their spelling and pronunciation of words was different.
Yeah.
But we all know, we grew up with the word Laie. And I said, in Laie, when I asked Aunty Bella Linky, she said, because Laie went to a transition being new. People were asked to move down here. And this was Laie, Hawaii. And so, but it became Laie. So it was very interesting to hear the kupunas talk about the change.
Yeah.
Laie, Koloa, Laie. And I said, what was the change? She said, that's when more people, nobody wanted to live out here. I mean, it was far away from everything.
Yeah.
This was a pu'uhonoa. In the beginning, it was a pu'uhonoa. And then the transition from a pu'uhonoa to where people came to live. Nobody wanted to live out here.
Yeah.
It was so way out, and it was kind of barren. But she said, of course, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they bought the property. Everybody was laughing because there's nothing.
Yeah.
But they asked the people to come and plant. They didn't realize the water was here. And so, in listening to these stories, we as children growing up at that time still had the train coming through. And then Tutuhamana Kalili was alive. And, he's the one that did the shaka because of his fingers being missing. They did the hukilau because, Laie went through a transition. The chapel burnt down. So he called all the people together to say, well, how are we going to build our new chapel?
Yeah.
And so all this transition going on, the World War II, and we as children were being born at that time. And yet our parents still stayed intact. I mean, families. And sometimes when the mother gave birth to her and the mother died, the child was still taken care of. Maybe it went to another family, but it was still that family. And so, and then hula was a big part.
Yeah.
I mean, the hula masters came from, because every place else couldn't teach hula. But somehow in Laie, it was different. Everybody was able to teach hula. And I cannot remember, when I first found out, I came home and I asked my grandma, Mama, why how come couldn't teach hula? And she said, well, Christianity came. Nobody understand how the people were. And they wanted them to put clothes on. And so, the transition, it was hard for some of our people. But they listened, and so she said, in a way, Christianity played a big part in Laie, especially the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And let me tell you, there were still people who didn't like,
Yeah.
there were still the people who didn't like it, but it was holding the families together, making sure that, and they talked about having food, making food, growing the food, and Laie was plentiful with that because nobody had only one child. Everybody had 8,
Yeah.
9,
Yeah.
10. One family had 14.
Yeah.
And our family, there was no such thing as everybody only had one.
Yeah.
And if they did, somebody gave them
There's
their
everybody helping
child.
out and everything. Yeah.
So that's how they have hanai, or they oh here you can and so all this stuff took place in Latvia, and so when it comes down to our generation, we relate to everybody
Yeah. Yeah.
because so and so came and stayed with. Like for me, I was a punahele because I was raised with my grandparents. I did not know that the lady was coming. Not really my auntie. That's my mother.
Oh.
And so my grandma then had to tell me and my mom, I'm sure when she gave birth, I still had to be nursed by her.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until my grandma had a dream that this baby that's going to be born, which was me, that is going to be special. Not knowing that this child was going to be very, I didn't want it. I was too afraid because you hear all the negative stuff. You hear and yet I didn't realize that till I think after I got baptized. And then slowly I realized that my grandma, no matter what, she made sure that I was there for hula.
Yeah.
She made sure that whenever they was talking story, I was there. And so for me, that was the beginning of learning, although I was very, didn't want it because you hear all the good and the bad, and then I was more afraid of the bad because I've seen it happen. And so I said, Mama, I don't know, But being raised in Laie really made me realize that the person I was going to be, because I didn't really go into hula or go into the language or going into, because even with the language, I didn't speak it fluently, but I understood it with my grandmother. And of course, when we went to school, we couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my aunties, although we're walking in there, they're doing this to us. We're not allowed to, so we forgot about it and we spoke English. Okay, so so as time went on, I went into hula, and then I realized, man, the hula was telling the stories,
Yeah.
of our people, and I told myself, and then I realized that what my grandmother and my mom, my real mom, what they were trying to do, and so I appreciated that after.
Yeah.
And what happened is, of course, my grandmother died. But there was me and my cousin actually, and we both was raised by our grandparents. So we're like brother and sister. But then I come home after staying home because my grandma, she says to me, "We're gonna move to to my mom's house." I said, "Why, Mama?" Because she was getting old, and she was getting me ready, and my cousin, us ready. So anything happens to her, we're not left alone, because everything was her. So we moved with my mom, my real mom, and of course I had brothers and sisters. And then the time came where, because we're so used to just him and I, and everything that we have is ours.
Yeah.
And so now we got to share,
Yeah.
you know?
With the rest.
I had a hard time.
Yeah.
I had to learn that, they're my brothers and sisters. You have to. So me and him used to get together. We're crying because it's different.
Yeah.
It's just different. And so we learn how to, you know, um, get together with. Now I'm with my real family, but Lincoln's mom is not here. So he comes and stays with me, and so him and I depended on each other and made sure that nobody,
Yeah.
But we grew up that way, and I've always had a love for our culture.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody talked, I was there listening, and but we couldn't ask questions.
Yeah. You just gotta listen.
Every time my hand would go like this, my grandma would, you know,
Yeah.
and so let me tell you, there was the good, the bad, and the ugly. And when you grow up that way, you become very appreciative of what you've learned over the years, music, hula, chanting, storytelling, just ohana getting together. In my life, ohana was such a important part in the family unit. And so that's why we, the Ka'io family, are the Noho Papa. We born here, raised here, way before anybody came to this island. So this is where they're from. But my grandma was telling me, but my grandpa them came from Wailua.
Oh, okay.
They came from Wailua, but they were here. And so, when we do our genealogy, that's why Sai is so, last night when we had our get together for Hui Ho'olu Aloha, which was our halal name with side bridges. And so he talked about the connection between Kawai Kapu, myself, and this girl Lilia Kikoha, how the three sisters plus Sai's great grandma, they're all sisters. But we all come from the same line.
Yeah.
And so with that, when we were to take picture, then we had like 5 of us that was there.
Yeah.
And so everybody was taking picture, and I told Sai, why is it that people, want to, he said, because the connection is now known.
Yeah.
And when it's known, people want to make sure they remember,
Yeah.
oh, so I related to the Kahara Pau because of this line. And then, oh, I'm related to Kela because I come from Kapua Kamakahala.
Yeah.
And he said, if you noticed last night, which was really good, is that Sai just started talking about connections. And so, I'm so appreciative of our culture and our ohana. And, every ohana was important. Every ohana was contributed to what Laie is today. And I say, even when the Samoans came, when they started coming here, like one of the kupunas, they had a dream. They had a uhane in Samoa that he got kicked out of the village because he joined another religion, which happened to be the religion that Laie was. And so he had a dream about there was a White House on the mountain. He didn't know what it was, but he know that that's where he's going to go.
Yeah.
So he brought his family here, and not even knowing. So for Laie, you have this kind of stories because they did come
Yeah.
and they did settle in Laie and they're still here
Yeah.
today. And so, so they contributed to Laie. My grandfather felt that all these people that came to stay and live in Laie, everybody had to adjust. I mean, let me tell you, it wasn't
I'm
easy.
sure. Yeah.
It wasn't. I tell you, there were fights. There
Yeah.
were, why you guys here. But they worked it out.
Mhm.
And that's why Laie is what it is today. It's a combination of all these South Pacific islands coming to Laie.
Yeah.
And whether it be because of the church or whether because their families that moved there, they came. And then Laie started to blossom.
Mhm.
And it was already said, I remember when we were young, that Laie is going to be, it's not going to be, it's going to change.
Yeah.
Meaning there's going to be more people. Okay, so now this is my grandfather. Every Sunday, everybody comes over to the house, everybody sit around, we have what we call ohana.
Mhm.
And that's when my grandpa get up and he gives a scripture from the Bible. And then, we all have we sing in Hawaiian, He Aloha, Oh Yesu,
Yeah. Yeah.
that was our favorite song. And then we all said a verse, God is love, and that word when Sunday came. But in Laie, nobody could play, nobody could, it was very, but my grandfather was different. Sunday after church was family time.
Yeah.
We sang, we danced hula, played music, played volleyball. I mean, our time here in Laie, that's how the Kai'os, and that's what brought us close.
Yeah.
And then it was story time, and when it was story time, all us kids would just listen. We are in awe because they talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
Laie had it all. I mean, we had kahunas here that the fire, is just,
Yeah.
I mean, for us, we were like, what?
Yeah.
And then we're taught what to say.
Yeah.
But I mean, we grew up with all this kind of stuff, and we didn't think about it as being so dangerous. But yes, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, we even saw how Kamapua'a, his domain of
The mountain.
all the names they use, Kamapua'a, Laie Lohe, Laie Kawai, they were born right here in Malaikana. I mean, they grew up with our ancestors.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just a name. No, they were
The
real.
real news stories.
It was a story. And then now when I hear about it, I tell myself, man, now they have books, they have people talking
Yeah.
about it. But here in yeah, we heard it.
Yeah.
And we heard it from our great grandparents and what they saw and what they know. I mean, like my auntie, and when they talk about my auntie, my grandfather's sister, how she gave birth, everything was there except no more the baby.
Mm.
But she was told, go down to the kahawai, your baby is there. It was a shock.
Oh, wow.
It's a mano. So that became our amakua.
Yeah.
And our family had no problem going in care. So now, this is years later, I go to Tahiti. But I know the story. But you thinking only in Hawaii, it's only in Hawaii, the family. No, we go to Tahiti, and my niece happened to be with me. We were walking on a papa at Tahiti, and this mano comes, and my niece grabs my hand, and I told her just stay still. When it came, I saw the fin, and it had 5 black dots on the fin, and I went, oh my God, do we have family
Oh.
here? So I started chanting. The thing went around, came back. Now, by that time, everybody standing there, they were, because
Yeah. Sure.
they saw the shock. And so they were like, trying to get us to, but I just stood there and he, and then went back out. came back again with all his family, I started to
Oh yeah.
cry. I started to cry, and I told my niece, "This is our family." Okay, so and then they came and they made the circle around, and then they went, and when that happened, then we came back in, the whole village, the Tahitian village. They said, "Auntie, is your amakua the mano?" I
Yeah.
said, "Yeah, because that don't happen." In fact, when they asked me to spear the first fish, because they make this, it's like in a lagoon, all the fish come in. There was a mano in there. They asked me, I said, "No, I cannot."
Yeah, yeah.
Then they realized why I couldn't. It's because that's our
Oh, yeah.
amakua. I couldn't. And so this is the kind of experiences that happens, and it's for real. And then, when I think back of all the stories, all Tutuhamana, with the shock and official, like, and so the state of Hawaii, because why? A lot of people live in Vegas. A lot of people, Hawaiians, they
Yeah,
moved,
yeah.
and then they moved to California. But, when Uncle Cy Bridges has a very keen mind of, each of us has gifts, yeah. And sometimes our gifts have to do with our mo'olelo, our, knowing who our ohana is and stuff. So, and hula has always been a part of us.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of, we see a lot of halals now, and everybody is really, and then you have some that's really strict, and some, everybody have their own style.
Yeah.
And that's not, I always felt there's nothing wrong with that, unless somebody is really, really wrong,
Yeah.
because now you can watch the video, you can learn hula on the video,
Yeah.
but sometimes you don't know the correct
Or the
word,
story
the
behind it.
story
Yeah.
behind the mo'olelo behind, it's always nice to get the mo'olelo.
Yeah.
But now they can read it in a book.
Yeah.
They can go on the computer and put in the song, and you get the lyrics. The person who went haku the mele, and now you see the meaning. I mean, there's so much for everybody to know. So when somebody tell me they're from Hawaii and they don't know how to hula, I said, "You guys better go home, go learn."
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of our
Yeah.
heritage.
That's kind of like that was important to me. My ohana for me to do is to learn hula. That was the first thing we learned was
Yeah,
dance hula.
yeah.
And then whenever we go to the kanaki pila in the backyard, same thing, right? If somebody says, and I was more growing up, I was kind of like the shy kid.
Yeah,
But when they said, "Hey, Daniel, go dance, boyfriend of
yeah,
Hawaii," we're
yeah,
like, "Okay,
yeah,
you just got
yeah.
to get up there. And you got to do
No,
it."
and
Yeah.
they're only gonna ask you once,
Yeah.
and if you know them, they're not ever gonna ask
No.
you. They're just gonna look at you. So I was told that when I was like maybe 4 or 5 years old,
Yeah.
and my grandma used to tell me, "Keke Kela, you know, like
Yeah. Go.
stand up,
Yeah.
and I'm over there, Mama, I don't know that. Just go dance."
Yeah.
So I went, my expression on my face,
Yeah.
Mama, everybody looking at you. So you stand up and everybody clapping. And during those days, they used to put money on your shirt, or they put some kind of,
Yeah. Yeah.
like the makana, because they like the way you dance and you smiling. And I used to say, Mama, Uncle gave me, you know, and she said, yeah, that's for you. I mean, things like that, and then over the years, I've developed to love the hula.
Yeah.
And so now, when I was told to, it's time for me, so it was really my mother that really unikied me, or, and, nowadays is, if you're not if you're a kumuhula, you better make sure you went to the proper,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. And during that time, my mom then, she took from Uncle Puaha, and so when Uncle Pua was still alive when I was born, and I remember him coming to my grandma, because my grandma and Puaha are first cousins. Their mothers were his sisters. And so that's where the Pua Kamakahala comes in. And so Uncle Pua, I mean, his hands were big. But, of course he died, yeah. And so, everybody started to the renaissance of hula and
Yeah.
who you took from and who in your family line, where did you, and sometimes I find that people learn the hula, but maybe they never go to the proper, but they're still a kumu hula because they teach hula.
Yeah.
And so I find that to be very interesting because they know they hula. It's just that maybe they never uniki the proper way.
Yeah.
But I find that it's interesting because a lot of the people do have the knowledge. And so when Sai decided to open, his halal, um, he was the one that accepted everybody, whether you're Samoan, Tonkas, in our halal. And that's what was so beautiful when last night is seeing everybody and some of us that have puka through, like me and Michelle, there's others of us, but there's two kumuhula that from when we were taking with Sai that have died. And so this is when they showed the film of all of us. And I tell you, it was so, so beautiful because, just seeing all of us and all the things that we're doing with Sai. And we all know that Sai is not feeling well. We all know that. But, you know, I just feel like we now have that mentor too, and I've been teaching hula for over 10 years. And then everybody asked me, how come you don't charge? Because I didn't learn.
Yeah.
I didn't pay to learn hula.
Yeah.
And so the first time when I did open my halal, I had a hard time. I really did. I had a hard time taking money.
Yeah.
And so my cousin used to tell me, yeah, but everybody does it. All the halals does it. And I said, I know, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
So finally one night I was just sleeping, and in there I was watching Uncle Pua, my mom, all the people that had to do with me learning hula. And they were all there and they were sitting in and they were, and I looked and I went, oh my gosh. And they were telling me for me to have the halal.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, but, I don't want to charge you. You don't have to. So that's how I don't.
Oh, nice.
But, when the costumes, costumes can cost
Yeah. Customs are
money,
expensive.
And so we do fundraisers, we do, because I feel, and then my passion is for the women that was over 30 years old, always wanted to dance hula,
Yeah.
but couldn't, either because they had too many kids or the husband don't like them take hula, don't like them dance.
Yeah, go
They
out.
married Paul,
Yeah.
no can. And so, I watched that and the desire for them to come, but they're ashamed because they never learn and, one night I saw Aunty Sally Woods and her ladies came out to dance. And they were beautiful. And they were they were kupuna age. And I remember Auntie Sally telling me, don't ever make a kupuna dance go down low. She's regal. She don't have to prove she can go down.
Yeah.
And I always remembered that what
Oh,
she
wow.
told her. She told me, whenever you teach kupunas, you teach simple.
Yeah.
And so I decided to do that. Mahalau is for other, but I noticed that the kupunas started coming. And they work hard. They said, we never learn when we're young, but if you're patient with us, we would love to take. So I started, I actually started with my own my granddaughters
Yeah.
and my daughters. I started with my own, and I found that I was, people started coming. Then I had Auntie Dora who took from Uncle Pua, and she came to me and she said, I want to continue because when I got married after Uncle Pua, I couldn't go back hula. I had to quit because so whatever reason they had, that's why I went to teach
Yeah.
the kupuna. So now we're going to go to Vegas. We're going to go into the kumukai
Yeah. Yeah.
that my brother Hala Hula Illinois, and so they have a competition, and they called, and I said, yes, we'd love to come. It's the experience of, and I'm entering the kupuna division, and of course they only dance awana.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, it's been good, and this hotel has been a blessing to this community because when they have graduations, people come here to stay.
Yeah.
When they have funerals, people come here to stay. When they have family reunions, people stay here. And Dave Betham it's a blessing for us to have him. He's Polynesian. He understands being Hawaiian. He understands being Samoan
Mm-hmm.
and all the other different cultures, and he welcomes them with open arms.
And you talk about how you came in here and you want to bring the culture into this place.
Yeah,
And if people haven't seen it yet, like you walk in and you
yeah,
see it. Like you see, like I mentioned before, right? Like you walk inside and you see everybody kind of is like looking at you like we know each other from someplace, or we might be related or something.
yeah.
And you don't get that feeling very often when you go into a hotel in Hawaii.
Uh-huh.
But that's what I think, that's what makes this place so special.
It is, and
Yeah.
when we first, I used to tell Dave, and that's why we're so blessed because we have a Polynesian. He might not be Hawaiian, but he's
Yeah.
Polynesian. They understand the need for Laie to be, every hotel is different.
Yeah.
And so when they talked to me, I said, there's one thing we need to, because I'm going to tell you a story about the ukulele, how we went from 2 ukuleles to 48
Oh yeah.
ukuleles. Uncle, what's his name? He is the president for the Ukulele Guild, Honolulu Ukulele Guild. Well, he lives in Kauai now, but he came one day. I was teaching 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
Only had 2 ukuleles. And so he came to me and he said, you know how they call you girly or bebe?
Yeah.
I said, bebe, you only have 2 ukuleles. I said, that's all we can offer. The ukuleles now, I told him,
Yeah. Yeah.
ukuleles now cost money. And so he told me, oh, that's why I came to see you, because we're like Kamkani Kapila.
Mm.
I said, yes. I think he's the one that teaches the I forgot his name. Oh. Anyway, and he said, I told him, yes, please. I went to my boss and I said, I don't want to work in the front. I want to be something. I want to teach hula. I want to teach the history of
Yeah.
Laie. I want to teach ukulele, you know. And so I said, I'm just going to tell you what I feel this place should be.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I want this to be a cultural hotel, something that people can come and learn and feel and touch.
Yeah.
And so he said, and so now this is after 5 years now, and then because we heard that they might replace him, and I go, oh no, this cannot happen.
Yeah.
And so then we got the word, no, he wasn't going to be. So we started working having ukulele and hula. That was the two. Now, I forget his name, but he was the president for the Hawaii ukulele gil. And their job was to go among places where they see people playing ukulele and ask questions like, how long you been? Is this what you're going to do?
Yeah, yeah.
So I was telling him, I said, I'm just starting, but I only have 2 ukuleles. He said, oh, okay. But he just talking to me. And then 1 week later, this huge truck comes in. And the guy comes on and he's talking to the front desk. Oh, we're looking for Aunty Kela. And they said, oh, she's right there. And so they said, oh, Auntie, the guy like talk to you. So I came. He said, I just want you to know we're delivering for 48 ukuleles. I said, I promise, I didn't buy anything. my boss comes out.
What you doing buying 48 ukuleles?
And I said, I promise, I never ordered anything. And the guy started laughing. So he told the guy, start bringing them in.
Yeah.
And I thought, wait. I never ordered them. He said, no, just let us do our job. So in front of me, my boss is telling them, what is it? And they gave him the invoice, right? But he noticed the invoice does not have any amount in it. And so he's looking at it, what kind of invoices? So he looks at me and I said, I promise, I didn't order it. And then he looked at me, he smiled, and I was thinking, oh. And then the guy comes, he said, this is from Uncle, I think it was Tony. And he noticed I had 15 people, had only 2 ukuleles. So he was asking me. I said, no, we just changed, everybody had. He said, okay, I'll see you next week. And I said, okay, Uncle, bye, He comes back. He has this huge truck in front of him. And they're taking off all these ukuleles. 48 ukuleles.
That's one thing that I really love about the place too is the music.
Yeah.
And that's a constant thing whenever we're visiting and see the place is the music and just like the ohana feel of this place.
Yeah.
Even my oldest son, he's 9 years old. And we're lucky enough that we get to go travel, see places. But yesterday he just said something. He's just like, Daddy, they do a really good job making it good for a family. Yeah. I was just like, yeah, they do. He's just like, no, it just feels like family over here. I was like, yeah, it does, But for him, at a young age,
they notice that.
To notice that, to feel that, and to feel comfortable. Like even, last night they had the luau and everything for the celebration of 10 years. He was just like, Dad, I just want to walk around. Like, I want to just check it out. I was like, go. Like, he just felt so comfortable.
Yeah.
Because when he looked out there, he just saw like people who could be family.
His family.
And like he talking to all the other kids and like, so he just felt that.
It just felt at home, like this is a surrounding place that they would love,
Yeah.
And that's what we all been working for, and we have a good team, a good solid team, and we help each other. No worry, we got our own, but let me tell you, at the end of the day, I'm sorry, I'm sorry I said that, or I shouldn't have said that. But we always come to to make this hotel what it is, takes everybody.
Yeah.
And I say, it doesn't only takes Aunty Kela, it takes everybody. And they say, yeah, but Auntie, every time when you teaching hula or ukulele, guarantee when they take the survey, your name is on there. And how they feel. You make them feel good. One of them was the boy he came. He had no legs. He wanted to dance hula.
Okay.
The mother said, remember when we were in Waikiki, they didn't want to teach you hula because they're looking at you. They wanted you to, but he like stand up. He like dance, although he had, cut his legs off. And he told the mom, no, I want to dance hula. I want to dance hula. So I heard him. So I said, we'll do the ukulele. I promise you, you're gonna dance hula. He couldn't wait till after the ukulele. When I thought, I said, okay, we're gonna dance the hula. He jumped off his chair, and the mother was in tears. And I told her something. She said, no, I never saw him so excited. And he danced the hula the hubs. So somebody captured it and said, now tell me, if this boy can learn hula,
Yeah.
so can we.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't realize that somebody was taking. And the mother was crying, the father was crying, the brothers and sisters were all, because here he was, I was teaching him the hula, and he was moving. Of course, he couldn't put his leg
Yeah.
out, but I made him do his shoulder,
Shoulder, yeah.
you know? And so she said, why couldn't they do that at the other hotel? I said, no, it's not that. It's just that I know what it's like when kids want to learn something, they cannot because they feel like, but your son jumped off the chair
Yeah.
and he said, I want to learn hula. It took some time for the hotel to get used to too. And then when they asked me to be the cultural specialist, I said, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I didn't, not that I didn't like working at the front desk, I just felt because I retired. And I felt like the young ones should be up front,
Yeah.
And I said, Dave, can I just be the cultural specialist? But Dave is the one that actually pushed me into that position
Yeah.
to let me know that I'm going to be the culture. And I just took off with it, with the help of the whole hotel.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Aunty Kela's. It was everybody. And everybody loved that because I said, it's not only my credit. You guys helped me to know that when I needed something, when I needed scissors, when I needed something to be run off, when I want everybody helped out. Sometimes the ukulele, I don't know when somebody would move them,
Yeah.
and everybody would go out and look for it.
Yeah.
We're still learning,
Mm-hmm.
and we still, So when we got the 10-year anniversary, this is why I said to Dave, let's do a good one.
Yeah.
Let's have a luau.
You talk about the 10-year anniversary because it's a big accomplishment for this kind of hotel,
Yeah.
And to do what you have done within that short amount of time as well, and like the feeling that you bring to people,
Yeah.
even visitors who come over here,
Yeah.
who are coming to Hawaii for the first time or experiencing the culture for the first time, they're seeing it from a totally different perspective. I feel,
Oh.
because especially with the luau yesterday for the celebration, it's like with the Chiefs luau, it's an amazing show. It's so awesome to see, and then it's the music and it's the people and. Even when Dave was giving his talk and everything, you could just feel like it was very much speaking to the community, speaking to Laie,
Yeah.
And I think that
And
just gave
even the time
sense.
when my hula stuff was going
Oh,
on,
yeah.
although the thing went off, we didn't stop
Yeah.
dancing. And that's why everybody said, we were like, wow, these guys, they're not stopping.
Yeah.
Then you guys started singing. And then Kawai Couple walks up
Came and sing, yeah.
and starts
and
singing.
then Eddie came on the guitar,
And Eddie was on
ukulele,
it, and I mean, they said it was just, and this is the kind of stuff
Yeah.
that people look at.
Yeah.
They said, wow.
That's the stuff that people remember and feel themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said, I've never seen it like that where, no, we kept on dancing and we were smiling.
Yeah.
Nobody turned around to look or,
Yeah.
or anybody stopped. And I told the ladies, we are not stopping. Just sing.
Yeah, because we're sitting right in the front too, right? Watching it happen. And just seeing it unfold. And just seeing, like, and you're talking about like how the kupuna just feels so regal when they're dancing, and I think that they continued with that grace, that regal grace of just like keep dancing, singing the song.
Yeah. It was just like, and everybody said, we were devastated. You guys were not. You guys continued on. Oh no, the music, the thing went off, but they looked at us like we never missed a beat.
Yeah, exactly.
They said, you started singing, the rest of the ladies joined in, and then all of a sudden we see Kawai Couple coming up, and he starts singing, and then Eddie comes in, and he said, no, it doesn't happen this way.
Yeah.
Not in every situation. This was really the aloha spirit at its very best.
I believe that, yeah.
And this thing about being united, being pono, being knowing that my other people gonna come and rescue us.
Jump inside and help out.
And they said we saw it and we felt it for real. This was, and everybody talked about it.
Yeah. When we talk about the whole, like you mentioned earlier about the connections, that when you're seeing all the connections of the lines, the ohana, the families,
Yeah.
and I think that just goes back to like what we try to talk about at the Group Project, right? Is like, how do we feel more grounded, more anchored, more present in the moment? And it's really about understanding who you are.
Yeah.
And once you get a good understanding of who you are, and you start learning more about yourself,
Yeah.
like who you're connected to and where you're part of, and your own mo'olelo and your own ohana stories and everything, it just makes you feel a little more rooted, a little more
True.
stronger in yourself.
And what was happening yesterday? Everybody was bringing leis.
Yeah.
Everybody was,
Look
this
at that.
lei.
Yeah.
This lei was made by this Tongan lady. Her auntie died, and she had to give a presentation. The whole week we had, Hawaii.
Yeah.
We started Hawaii. We had Tonga. We had Fiji, Maori. So on, Samoa, Tahiti, and it was just so wonderful, and that's what everybody was saying, that the connection. It was, and to see that this place celebrated it like that, and I said to them, we again, it's the team,
Yeah.
and I told Eddie how much we always tell each other how we appreciate each other, and I think in a working environment, it's very important that we get along,
Yeah.
and that's what I told Eddie. That's what I love about us. The whole town makes us be who we are, and it's beautiful.
That's beautiful here, and it's one of my favorite places to come. Like whenever we have an opportunity to come out here to just talk stories with you, have the kids take the ukulele lesson. They're always excited to see Aunty Kela with the ukulele lesson and dance hula and everything. And
Yeah.
so, Aunty, again, I just want to be so mahalo for your time and energy. I know you
no,
have a lot going on.
I hope I did something
No,
that
you
was
did.
beneficial.
You
too.
being here is enough. Like we really appreciate your aloha.
That's so good.
You did amazing. But last thing, like, what's your any last thoughts or story you want to share about Laie or about the
I
hotel
think
space?
one of the things I really want to share is the time when, when they had the tidal wave and when they had when the chapel burned down, how Laie became so united, and even till today, when we had the tsunami, everybody just when they talk about, are you prepared? Did you get this? Even the ones that wasn't felt they were prepared because they live here in Laie. That's one thing I love about Laie. And for me, everybody has something special about their ahapua'a, And not that, one is better than the other. There's just that when you come to Laie, you feel safe.
Yeah.
When you come to Laie, people will say hi. Or when you come to Laie, hi uncle, hi auntie, although they don't know you.
Yeah.
But that's the greeting, and whether you be Tongan, Samoan, all the different nationalities here, Japanese, every one of them had a hand in making Laie what it is today. And I give credit to all our kupunas that said someday it's going to be a lot of people that's going to make Laie. And they started it off, but it ended up with us. But it ended up with people that moved to Laie and gave their all to this community. And that's what I love about this area. And not that we're better than anybody else.
Yeah.
We get our problems too.
Yeah.
But it's how we help, Yeah.
And then last question, because you spent this whole 10 days of aloha,
I know.
and you had the aloha, So, what does aloha mean to you?
It means being who you are and sharing what you know. And not just sharing just because somebody tell you to.
Yeah.
It's sharing unconditional. And that's me. I can sit down and somebody will tell me, "You're talking to them?" I said, "Yeah, why?"
Yeah.
They asked the question, "What is a lei?" Why do you guys give the lei?
Yeah.
I sit down, and that's why when I make lei, everybody learning, they're making lei of love. When you give somebody a lei, you're telling them you love them.
Yeah.
And the same thing, they give it back to you. And so when I make that lei represents all of us.
Yeah.
And the sharing of aloha, the sharing of the love. And in this world today, that's what we need. I mean, when I look at other places and what they're going through, I look at the kids,
Yeah.
you know, their eyes, they're so sad, you know. And I look at our kids and I said, you know, I hope we never, our America doesn't become that way. And when I look at Hawaii and I said, you know, I know that this is the place of aloha. This is, I mean, I can go Vegas, I can go whatever, but I want to come home.
Yeah.
And all of us have that, you know, that understanding of belonging, the understanding of knowing, you know, if I should get into an accident, somebody gonna be there. I mean, everything. And yes, we have our problems. You know, we're not different from anybody in the other world, but there's something special about whatever community you come from, take care of it.
Yeah.
You know, make it the best that we know how. And even if we know we have problems, it still becomes a place of aloha.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's me.
Mahalo, Auntie. Again, just mahalo for your aloha and welcoming us here. And that's it. We're
Yeah.
good. That was
Well, we
awesome.
good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, see, it's simple, right?
It's simple. I love it.
Yeah.